Okay, maybe this one's going to work. I have tried 3 times to start this live stream, and all 3 times it has not worked. But I think we're on now finally. So this is me trying to figure out technology. Basically, is what you're looking at here. But we're just a few minutes late starting, but we're up and going now. So this is the SnakesAreUsTV podcast. I'm Jason Clark, and this is episode number 11. And we're going to be talking tonight about... Oh, hang on. Let me get the volume down there. That's not good. Leave this volume off. There we go. Okay, I think we're good now. So, all right. What I was thinking about doing is reading some of the comments from some of the YouTube videos, because there's some pretty interesting ones on here. And there's some pretty good ones on here. But, speaking of comments, not just YouTube comments, but, okay, for instance, let me show you this. I've got my cell phone. I'm going to pull up messages on my phone. And if you can see right here, let me see right here. This is my text messages. You can see that. That's 140 unread text messages. I know that drives some of you crazy if you have OCD, but 140 unread text messages. Now, if I scroll through here, now that's just the messages I haven't clicked on to read to even see what they say. Most of these I've clicked on to read because I don't delete these, and these text messages, there's thousands of them on here. I mean, literally, there's thousands and thousands and tens of thousands of text messages, and I could do this for a very long time and just keep scrolling, but I'm just wondering let me go all the way back. So, okay, the oldest text message I have on here is from December 10th of 2022. And if you don't know, it is November of 2024 recording this. I have 2 years of text messages on this phone, but 2 years of text messages, only 140 of them have not been read. Now, the bad part of that is there's a lot of those text messages that have not even been replied to, because these messages, I don't know if you do this or not, I'll read a message and I reply to it in my head, because you see these hands? These are not normal size hands. These are pretty big hands. It's hard. Honestly, it's even hard for me to find gloves, like work gloves and leather gloves. So I have to order a 3X glove, which they don't really sell in the stores. So it's hard for me to type on this little phone. And this is a pretty big cell phone as far as cell phones go. So I don't like texting. I don't like typing. I don't like doing any of that stuff. But someone sends me a picture of a snake. I have those responses pre-programmed in here. Hit a button and it just sends it right out pretty easily. But anyway, I was thinking of going on my YouTube channel and picking out some of these comments, because some of them I don't know. It just makes me shake my head sometimes. Now, before I read these, let me say one thing. Some of these comments, I mean, they're public. I mean, they have their username. Some of these people have their first and last names. I figure if they make it public on the internet, we can read it and say their name. Okay, correct? That's what we're going to do. Some of these we may laugh at, we'll make fun of them, but life is too short to take things too serious anyway. So you need to learn to laugh at yourself. Now, if you're a person who can't laugh at yourself, don't worry. Just call me and I will laugh at you. Okay. But the first thing I want to do, I'm going to go on my phone and I'm just going to pull up. Let's first just pull up just a random comment. I'm not going to go select any certain comment, just the first random comment that I see. Let's see. Okay, here's just a random comment. I don't even know what this comment is about, but let's just read it. This is from Molly EY6LQ. I don't know what in the world that stands for, but Molly says, let's see what this random comment says. She says, I just want to shine a light on something that might not seem apparent in most of your videos. And that is that you are highly educated, I just chose this comment at random. I did not go through and pre-select. It's just a random comment. That you are highly, highly educated, skilled, trained, and licensed professional. Your videos are usually fun and entertaining, and you give off the persona of being a big country boy just wrangling snakes. But videos like this show that behind the scenes, you are virtually certain to be doing constant reading of biology and zoology literature, going through laborious licensing procedures, safely honing your skills and caring for, treating, and maintaining snakes in their enclosures in a very professional and scientific way. I've never doubted that you are very skilled, but it's videos like this that show behind the beard, folks, and behind the beard and Georgia accent, that you're basically a scientist with the creds to prove it. You're not just some pest control guy with a pillowcase. Goes on to say, you're not just some pest control guy with a pillowcase. You're a certified herpetology expert, and I'm glad you've demonstrated that enough that even people in other states know when they need someone who really knows what they're doing, they can call on you. Now, this is great. I just randomly chose this comment. I did not go through and pick out this comment to read to you guys. I wouldn't do that. Now, one of the replies here is from, let's see who this is, Katie Kane 5247 says, a reply to that comment says, thank you for posting this. People may take a view that Jason is just a hick. Who would take a view that I'm just a hick? Okay. We should be overjudging. I think she means we should not be, but it says we should be overjudging folks by their appearance, accent, or place of birth. First of all, I don't have an accent. Okay. This is how you're supposed to talk. All right. And then there's a reply to that one. And this is I don't even know, Yocheved Designs, Yocheved Designs. I couldn't agree more. This guy is a delight, a delight to watch. I need to send this to my sister. A delight to watch and I like this part, and moves so smoothly that it would be a common mistake to think that what he does is easy. I like that comment. Moves so smoothly. I mean, just graceful, I guess. That's pretty funny. No. So I may have chosen these comments to read to you, but there's a reason. I get thousands of comments on YouTube, and I don't read all of them, but I do try to read all of them. And just like my text messages, I don't reply to most of them. I do it I reply every comment I read. I do reply to it in my head. Okay. So if I read your comment, I've replied to it in my head, and it's usually something very nice. And I know I need to comment on here. I'm going to try to start working on that. Probably not going to do it, but I'm going to try to start. But here's what I have to remind myself. I have to remind myself when I'm reading these really good comments like this, because it can be dangerous, okay? My head's already big. All right, I don't need to make it any bigger. I got to remind myself not to get my self-worth and what I think about myself from these really great comments. Here's why. If I allow my mind to get puffed up and excited, that there's a very nice comment they wrote, very nice. I don't think that highly of myself, okay, but I'm glad that person does. But if I allow my mind to get that caught up in myself with those really good comments, then that opens the door for when the really bad comments come in, and there's a lot of those, that I will then allow those bad comments to also determine my self-worth and what I think about myself. So, you have to get to a point in your life to where you know who you are, regardless if people say really good things about you or if they say really bad things about you, because both are bound to happen, especially when you put yourself out there in the public. And so don't rely on other people to tell you who they are, because, every person you encounter in their mind has their own version of who you are, okay? And who you are in their mind is probably not who you are at all. actually it's never who you are at all. But every person has a version of who they think you are. So don't let them define that. And, you know, reading comments like that, it makes you feel really good. They made me feel really good. And sometimes it is nice to go read comments like that. So I do like that. But I just wanted to point that out to begin with. Now, let's go into some comments. As I was going through these, and I was just picking out random comments on my YouTube channel. And the first video I went to, and I'm going to show you the videos I went to. The first video that I went to was this one right here. And it's called How to Keep, can you see that? How to Keep Copperheads Out of Your Yard. And that video has a lot of views, tons of comments. And that's the first one I went to. So I just started going through there and just scanning a few comments and, you know, taking note of some of them to read. And there was a lot. And then I went to another one that was also had some copperheads in it and read those. And then I was like, you know, let's just read comments just about copperheads, because I went through 4 videos, and I'm not going to get through all the, not even, I don't know. There's a lot of comments. This is the other video we're going to go over. Flower garden destroyed by copperhead. And then lunch date with a copperhead. All these videos are on my YouTube channel. And then the last one is when copperheads look dead. I know that's kind of hard to read. When copperheads look dead. So these are comments on those 4 videos. And some of these, pretty good. So the first one is, okay, this first one is from Nature Nut 7695. He's actually probably here in the chat with us. I'm not over at the chat. I'll have to get over there real quick. Let me get over to the chat. Nature Nut is in here quite a bit with us. But he says on one of those videos, a copperhead is such a beautiful snake. I took a snake course last year to become certified to remove venomous snakes from yards. About a month ago, I removed my first venomous snake from my yard. LOL. It was a copperhead. I would love to do this full time. Snakes have got to be one of the most misunderstood animals. Anyway, he goes on and talks about different snakes to remove. So he got certified to remove venomous snakes. And I don't know. I don't think he lives in Georgia. I think he lives in a different state. But, you know, I get that question a lot, is how can I do what you do? How can I do this full time? I really want to do what you do. And if all I did was go out and remove venomous snakes, and that was my job, I probably would have to have another full-time job. Because a lot of the money comes not from removing the actual snake itself, but doing all kind of extra work. And some of these places that go in and just remove snakes, they'll sell them, you know, snake repellent, which we're going to talk about. Snake repellent that does not work. It's just a scam to people, and they just want to sell this stuff to people so they can make some money off of them. But, you know, I do charge for snake removal sometimes, not all the time, but it's not something that I could probably make a living at, just removing snakes. At least not a really good living. Probably not. But we do a lot of that. Now, this next comment on here, okay, this one's pretty funny. Well, I don't know. Maybe he doesn't think it's funny, but so this is from Summer Rain Song 7506. Summer Rain Song. Summer Rain Song says, I have been bitten twice by 2 copperheads. I've been bitten 4 times by black widow spiders, and once by brown recluse, and attacked by a rabid critter. I had to get shots in my stomach for 28 days straight because of the rabies and complications. And he goes on talking about anyway, not even reading the whole comment, just the beginning of this. He's been bitten twice by 2 copperheads, been bitten 4 times by black widows, and once by brown recluse. Summer Rain Song, I don't know where you live or what you do for a living, but with what I do, you need to do something different, okay? Whatever you're doing, stop doing it, okay? Because something is not right. Something's not normal. And if you're just living your life and this is not your job, move. I would say move somewhere and quit doing whatever it is that you're doing, because that's a lot of bites. I don't know how you did that. Okay, so go on the next one. So this is one of those comments. Who is this from? Jungle Room Reptile. Jungle Room Reptiles. I don't know who that is. That woman's reaction to that snake was the same as my reaction to seeing that woman. Now, some comments are just not helpful. This one's pretty helpful because this is funny. This is it mean? Jungle Room Reptiles is a very mean comment. Don't we put mean comments on here? But this is funny. That woman's reaction to the snake was the same as my reaction to seeing that woman. That's pretty funny. Okay, so the next one, Jason, I really appreciate what you do. But okay, now this is from Candy Critters. Candy Critters has been in some of our live chats here. I don't know if Candy Critters is here tonight. Is Candy Critters here? I don't know who Candy Critters is. I've just seen them in the live chat sometimes. Anyway, on this post, Candy Critters says, Jason, I really appreciate what you do, but stop doing risky stuff that stupid people, because there's a lot of stupid people, that stupid people might copycat. Get some tweezers or tongs. Your comfort level is way too high for most people. Love you. What Candy Critters is talking about is there was a video called When Copperheads Look Dead, and I could look at the snake. I knew the snake was dead, and I don't pick it up near the head, pick it up by the tail and his limp. And, I've been doing this for a very, very long time. And sometimes when I'm handling snakes, it looks like I'm taking risk and putting myself in harm's way and putting myself at risk for a bite. I don't really feel that I ever do that too much because I'm not putting myself in a position where I am in the strike range of a snake. But, I appreciate people watching out for me and telling me to be careful. But anytime, like sometimes even when I look at a video of me handling a snake, sometimes even to me, it looks like, man, I was way too close to that. But when I'm holding the snake, I can see that, okay, here's the strike range, and let me get outside of that times two. And so sometimes when you're looking at a photo or a video, it can look like you're much closer to the snake than you actually are. So I understand why it looks like that sometimes. So this is another one, and this is from Rita Smith, 9553. Now, this is not from one of those Copperhead videos. This is from, if you saw the video as to, I think it's called a snake I can't identify. It was a legless lizard. And legless lizards, if you don't know, when they get scared, they'll break their tail off, and the tail hits the ground, wiggles for 15, 20 minutes or whatever. The lizard gets away. Well, I've caught many legless lizards over the years, and sometimes I almost catch legless lizards. And there's been several times I've wanted to film legless lizards, and sometimes I filmed them and I release them. And then there's been several times where I've gotten just the tail. But one day this was a couple years ago. I filmed the tail of a legless lizard that was wiggling like crazy. And anyway, I didn't have footage of the lizard, so I was like, well, I can't ever use this footage. What am I going to do with just footage of just a lizard's tail wiggling on the ground? So I just, didn't do anything with it. I just had it saved on a hard drive somewhere. And then I ended up catching a legless lizard, same exact species. And I filmed the whole video of this lizard and released the lizard. And then after I got home, I was like, you know what? I've got footage of this. And and luckily it was all in like pine straw, and it matched up actually fairly well. So I was able to cut some stuff together, do some voiceovers on it. But people were asking if I took the lizard and broke his tail off just so I could film it. And I had to go, and it was several comments. I had to go and reply to those, and I got tired of replying to them, so I just didn't reply anymore. So I guess that's what some of them think I did. But no. So let's see here. And another one there about that comment. So let's see. Okay, this is about the Copperheads again. You make me nervous holding that snake and talking at the same time. I do a lot of talking when I'm on stage. I do a ton of venomous snake stage programs. I mean, I don't even know. I mean, thousands of times I've been on stage, a lot. And so when I'm up there on stage and I'm talking, or I'm in a YouTube video holding a stage and I'm talking, I'm not sitting here trying to think, okay, what is that information? I mean, I just start talking, and most of them don't even know what I'm saying. But the only thing I'm really paying attention to is the snake. But I'm really good at making it look like I'm not paying any attention to the snake. But that's all I'm looking at is the strike range of the snake, where his head is, and where his body is in relation to his head, how far he can strike, am I safe out of the way? But sometimes it does look like that, man, this guy's not watching that snake at all. And that's never the case, never the case. This is another comment. And if you have one, put it in the chat, and I'll get to your chat here in a second. So if you're listening to this on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple, any of those podcasts, you can't do the live chat. If you want to participate in live chat, we record this podcast Thursday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube. And if you join that, there's no ads when we do this, and you can go to the live chat, and I will sometimes interact with you on here, and we can talk about stuff. But this next comment is from Safari Cart Videos, and it says, I'm sure you knew this was coming, but I must say it. I put sulfur out because it does repel, okay, I thought I was going to say snakes. It does repel chiggers. Does it repel chiggers? I don't know. If you are not from the United States, I know we have a lot of people listening from the UK, Australia. I think we have a ton of people listening in Sweden, actually. So if you don't know what chiggers are, they are of the devil. They're these little tiny red bugs, so tiny you can barely see them, and they live in leaf litter and grass and vegetation. And if you get on the ground, these little chiggers will climb up on you, and they will bite you and inject some type of a substance into you that makes your blood flow freely, and they live off your blood. I don't know how true this part is. It's probably fake. You can look it up, but somewhere I heard that our blood is poisonous to them or toxic to them. I don't know if that's true. And so once they get a taste of it, they kind of fall off and die, and you have these little red bumps. And a lot of people think those little red bumps are the chiggers under your skin, and that's not what that is. So people will put fingernail polish on them trying to smother them, but that's just the bite. And then a day or two later, it starts to itch really, really, really super bad. I hate chiggers. That's what chiggers are. That's what he's talking about. So he says he puts out sulfur because it does repel chiggers. Oh, okay, here we go. But it really does seem to keep snakes away. No, it doesn't. But my neighbors had a copperhead infestation. What does that mean? A copperhead infestation. At one point, and I never saw one on my side of the fence, I was told it doesn't repel snakes. It just makes the soil irritating on their scales, so they just keep moving along. You're probably right, but it makes me feel better anyway. Yeah, so the sulfur doesn't, you'd have to put out so much sulfur that you and your neighbors could not live there, and nothing could, okay? If you put out enough sulfur where nothing can come to your yard because it would just die, including you, snakes probably won't go there. But it doesn't do anything to irritate their scales or make them not want to go. But you put this thing, we've talked about this so many times, you put any type of repellent out, and then you don't see a snake, and then you think it's working, then maybe it rains, and then you see a snake, oh, it's time to reapply it. But I wish there was something that works. There's nothing that works right now. Now, here's one we get all the time. This comment is one that we get all the time. This is, who put this? This comment is from M. Caskey 358. Big black snake. We call him Edgar. No problem with any other snakes. Now, this is something that kind of irritates me sometimes, because people will just call a snake that's black in color, they'll call it a black snake. And it's a snake and it's black. So yeah, it's a black snake, but these snakes have actual names, and there's no snake in the United States that's known as a black snake. That's what people call them when they don't know what kind of snake it is. It could be a lot of snakes. It could be a black rat snake. It could be a black racer. It could be an eastern indigo snake. It could be a ringneck snake, even though they have a ring around their neck. Sometimes cottonmouths are black, but people have this misconception that these big black rat snakes that get over 7 foot long, especially here in the Southeast, are out in their yard not only killing copperheads and eating them, but keeping the copperheads out of the yard. And neither one of those are true. So rat snakes are not snake eaters. Would a rat snake ever eat a snake? The only way I know that one would ever eat a snake is if there's a rat snake eating a mouse or a rat or a squirrel, and another snake comes up to eat the other end of it. And as the rat snake's eating, he'll eat whatever the food item is and keep on going to eat the other snake. Is that going to happen? Maybe in captivity, probably not in the wild very often. But rat snakes don't go around looking for copperheads to eat them, and they don't keep snakes out of your yard. But if that helps you from killing them, then think that. But that's not what they do. Actually, rat snakes are actually known to overwinter in the same den sometimes as copperheads and timber rattlesnakes. And so they're not keeping them away. That's not what they do. Now, let's see this next one here. So another person replied to that. It's the same here in Virginia. Huge black snake, that's going to be a rat snake, lives under the house, and I see it in the yard once in a while, but no poisonous snakes. Now, the black snake that lives under his house that he sees once in a while, that's probably 10 or 20 different rat snakes. Could it be the same one? Occasionally, but he probably has a lot of them, and he names that snake and thinks that's the same one he's seeing over and over again. Another person says, yeah, we have a 6-foot black snake, which is probably a rat snake. We named him Lester, and I see copperhead babies that were hit by a car, but no grown copperheads. Lester is doing his job. Lester is probably not doing anything to these copperheads, and he could care less about them. Another one says, speaking of the same thing, I mean, tons of comments about this because this, people believe so much misinformation about snakes. It says Granny used to keep a black snake in the hen house and one in the root cellar. How did she keep it there? Kept it by just not killing it, or like locked it in there so it couldn't get out? I don't know. For rodent protection, we never saw any other snakes up on the mountain in West Virginia with those two snakes there. Well, that's not how snakes work, but people think it is. Another one says we free range our chickens and our guinea hens. If you don't know what guinea hens are, they are a bird. Looks like a chicken. It's not a chicken. They are from Africa, I believe, and they are very loud. They are like watchdogs, and if you have a flock of guineas, they said they eat ticks. I don't know if they do or not. They swear that they do. They're very loud. I have one guinea. We had a flock of guineas, and hawks and fox got them over time. And for the last 2 or 3 years, we've had one guinea. I know it's lonely, and I keep being told to get the second guinea, so it's not lonely. But then I'll have 2 guineas. I don't even want the one guinea I've got because he annoys me. But today, I've had this guinea for years. And I noticed today, for the first time I've ever seen this, he had flown over the fence into the alligator enclosure. And I was like, I can go open the gate and I can let him out. I mean, he can fly. He can get out himself. Or should I just, I don't know. I didn't let him out. Anyway, he's fine. He can fly out. Plus it's cold. The alligators, they're not even really eating, I don't think, a lot right now. Anyway, if you, don't hate me for that. Okay. Okay. If you smell, here's another one. If you smell freshly cut cucumbers, you are within striking distance of a copperhead. What do you think? If you smell freshly cut cucumbers, you're in striking distance of a copperhead. If we're talking about snakes and you say, I've always heard, whatever you're about to say next, it's probably not true. Okay. And people say, well, smells and scents and odors, those are objective. What it smells like to one person may not smell like that to you. Well, I don't know about that. I mean, I know what cucumbers smell like, and I wish copperhead smelled like that, but they don't. And they don't just sit around, no snake just sits around and kind of like emits an odor, because things like to eat copperheads. Things like to eat all kinds of snakes. So this snake is just sitting around emitting an odor that animals can just very easily smell and zone in and find this thing. Then that's going to, draw in predators to find them. Now, animals can smell snakes. Dogs smell snakes. We train dogs on how not to get bit by scent. and by staying away from snakes. But as far as this just emitting an odor that you're going to just walk by and smell, copperheads don't do that. They do musk. They have musk glands, and if you scare a copperhead, you pick it up, you're trying to kill a copperhead, it'll release a musk, and that smells nothing like cucumbers at all. It stinks really bad. It's supposed to stink, so you won't want to eat the copperhead. That's the point of it. Cucumbers are a food. You want to eat that. You don't want to eat a copperhead because they don't smell like cucumbers. They smell really bad. So another one, and if you guys have any questions or comments, you can put them in the chat right here, and we'll get to that in just a second. Let's see here. So another comment we've got on here talks about me being within strike range of the copperhead in the how to keep copperheads out of your yard video. But being in strike range of the copperhead, you're within strike distance. It's going to bite you in the face. I'm not within strike distance of it. Like I said, sometimes you'll look at a video or a photograph and it looks like you're right there within strike range, and I don't do that. I don't want to get bit. God forbid I ever get bit. But so far I've not been bit because I may look like I'm taking chances, but I don't feel like I'm taking chances because I'm staying out of the strike range of these snakes. So another comment we get, this is from Hiding Out 4. Cannot believe how calm that snake is. That's something I get all the time is people will say, why is that snake being so calm? Even like when I do my shows and I'm on stage, I'll be handling, a venomous snake, and they'll come up and ask, what did you do to that snake? Why is it acting like that? I'm like, I didn't do anything to it. This is how they act. The video, how to keep copperheads out of your yard, that is a wild caught copperhead that I caught a couple hours before I filmed the video. It's not a copperhead that belongs to me. I've had in captivity forever. It's just a wild copperhead, and it's just sitting on the hook, kind of looking at me, and it's not trying to. It bit the hook several times in the video, but it never tries to really bite me or anything. And people have this misconception that snakes are out here sitting around, hiding, hoping, praying to get their chance to bite somebody, and that is not the case. Snakes will bite you, but not because that's what their life's goal is. But so when people see me handling a venomous snake on a hook, not with my hands, but handling one with tools, they think it's supposed to just be snapping at me the whole time trying to bite me, and that's not what snakes do. So another comment, and this comment is from Watch Out for Snakes with a Z. Watch out for snakes. I'm so tired of my friend who is into natural cures but is not into yard work. And he's saying mothballs will keep snakes away. Well, if you're into natural cures, mothballs is definitely not a natural cure. But mothballs are extremely popular using for snake repellent. Now, the problem with mothballs, one, is if you can smell mothballs, which if you're around mothballs, you can smell them. They stink. Oh, God, they stink. If you can smell those, there's several chemicals in there. I don't know all the names of them, but I know one of them. One is called naphthalene, and that is something that's been known to cause cancer. So mothballs will hurt you, but don't really do much to snakes. But a lot of people believe it, and they put them out because they hate snakes so much that they want some simple thing they can do. They feel like they're doing something by putting this stuff out. Okay, we get this. No one's ever said this to me in person at a show, but we get this comment all the time on YouTube is regarding keeping snakes out of your yard. And this is from, who is this from? Chuck T6N. Chuck T6N says, with lots and lots of exclamation points. And I'm not against exclamation points. I happen to really like exclamation points, and I think they're very necessary. He says, mongoose, 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 4 times mongoose. First of all, I don't know where Chuck lives, but we're in the United States, and we don't have mongoose. What's plural for mongoose? mongoose. We don't have mongoose, okay, that live in the United States. And even if you have snakes and you decide you want to get a mongoose, there's not a store that sells mongoose anywhere. Mongooses, mongoose. But that's a comment we get all the time because of the cartoon Ricky-Ticky-Tavi. Who's ever seen Ricky-Ticky-Tavi? Ricky-Ticky-Tavi is a cartoon that is propaganda, and I'm against it. I have a copy of it somewhere, but Ricky-Ticky-Tavi, they showed this to me and traumatized me with this cartoon when I was in elementary school. And I was like, oh man, we're going to get to watch a movie. And, when you're in school and they turn the lights off and you get to watch a movie, this is like the best day ever because you don't have to do schoolwork and you can go to sleep or you can watch it. If it's a good movie, you get to enjoy it. And so not only was it a movie, it was a cartoon. I'm in elementary school and I'm going to get to watch a cartoon during school. This is so cool. And they start it, and then I'm like, I am just beside myself because I realize it's a cartoon about snakes. And it's not even just a cartoon about snakes. It's a cartoon about venomous snakes. I'm like, this is my day. Thank you, Jesus, that I didn't stay home sick from school today, faking to be sick. Thank you that I came to school because I'm going to watch this cartoon about venomous snakes in school. And I was so excited. And this cartoon, if you're not familiar with Ricky-Ticky-Tavi, takes place in, India, I think. And in the cartoon, there's a garden out behind this house. I don't remember the little boy's name because I don't like the little boy in this cartoon. The little boy, the hero of the cartoon, in my opinion, is not a hero at all. Neither is his mom or dad. And the villain is Nog and Nagina. Nog is the, was it a spectacle cobra? It wasn't I don't think it was a king cobra because it had that mark on, I think it had that mark on the back of the head. It was a spectacle cobra. And, but Nog is the male cobra and Nagina is the female cobra. And these cobras, they're just living in the garden outside. They're outside in the garden where they're supposed to be, raising a family like snakes do. And, they're going to build a nest. And there's not many snakes that build nests other than king cobras. But in this cartoon, the spectacle cobra was going to build a nest and going to raise her family. And, Nagina was going to lay some eggs. And I'm like, oh, this is so cool. This is so wholesome. This family is living alongside these cobras. This is awesome. And but then they made the snakes talk just so wicked, and they're just hissing the whole time. I'm like, that's not even how snakes talk. Snakes talk nice. They don't talk mean like Nog and Nagina. And then the cartoon goes on, and then at one point the boy is sitting like in this kitchen table or something, and I want to say I don't remember the cartoon. They killed one of the snakes or something. And it's horrible. I mean, yeah, they showed this in elementary school, and they thought it was so cool. And I'm like, this is just horrible. But anyway, I'm watching this cartoon, and I think it was Nog, the male cobra, crawls up to the boy, and he raises up, he spreads his hood, and he just hisses with this horrible voice they've given this, wonderful cobra. And it tells the kid, if you move, I strike. If you don't move, I strike. See how horrible my voice just sounds? That's how they made this sweet cobra sound. It was saying, if you move, I'm going to kill you. If you don't move, I'm going to kill you. I'm just going to kill you just because I'm a snake, and that's what snakes do. We like to bite people, and we like to kill them. And so I think by the end of it, I think they killed these poor cobras. I don't remember. I don't want to go watch the cartoon. This is the worst cartoon in the entire world, Ricky-Ticky-Tavi, and they killed these two cobras that all they wanted to do was start a family. That was it. So let's go to the chat real quick. I see Candy's Critters are here. We mentioned you, Candy's Critters. I read one of your comments. Let's see. Nadia Brooke. Hello, Nadia. Nadia has been coming to our videos for quite a long time, and Nadia is from the UK. Ricky-Ticky-Tavi was based on a story by Rudyard Kipling. Well, yeah, that's true. And Rudyard Kipling anyway, I don't like this. I mean, it's a good story if you hate snakes. It makes you not like snakes. But anyway, Nadi says also snakes are not wanted by anyone on purpose. They don't want to do that. They'll do that to defend themselves. Annette says cicadas and copperheads another myth, right? No, actually, Annette, cicadas are a favorite food of copperheads. And if you go to one of my YouTube videos called Copperheads versus Cottonmouths, in that video, we discuss how much copperheads like to eat cicadas. And I actually filmed a copperhead eating a cicada. And so, yeah, they will eat cicadas. That's a pretty well documented, pretty cool thing there. Let's see. Chris Taylor. Hello, Chris. Thank you for joining us in the chat. So Hijinks is down here. What does Hijinks say? Can't stay in chat, having to run. Okay, well, thank you for stopping by. And so anyway, let's go to our next. Yeah, so we're not getting a mongoose. Oh, yeah, anyway, Ricky-Ticky-Tavi. That's right, I forgot. Excuse me. Ricky-Ticky-Tavi in that movie was a mongoose. And the mongoose, that's right, the mongoose is what killed the cobras. And so the mongoose was the hero, which I disagree with. The cobras were the hero. And I did not like that movie. All right. This comment is from Pet Prep Radio Show. I don't know what that is. Sounds cool. Love this video. Thank you. I want to invite you to be a guest on my show when I get back from. Yeah. All right, that'd be cool. I don't know what that is, but I will do that. Let's see. Okay, this is a comment from Ben WJ. Ben WJ says, rodent control is the best way to keep snakes away. Also, clean up wood piles and places where they want to live. Well, yes and no. So people also have this misconception that if you have copperheads, it means you have rodents. It means maybe you have rodents, but not necessarily, because copperheads eat mice. I feed my copperheads mice. But in the wild, copperheads eat a lot of lizards and insects, and small rodents and mice, and possibly even birds if they can catch a small one. But they eat a lot of lizards. So if you have a firewood pile, there's insects in there. They'll eat insects. Cicadas, we just mentioned that. But they're not necessarily just eating rodents. So doesn't mean you have rodents. But it's always good to not have rodents, and you probably have less snakes. This is from Paul Moss, 7940. I know you are an expert. Well, let's stop right there. Okay, you've already lost me. Never said I was an expert. All right, I know you are an expert, but it looks like that snake got a little too close a couple times. My best defense against them is I live in North Carolina. In central North Carolina is to promote, okay, here we go, promote my black snakes. A lot of mice around here too. So it depends on what black snake you're talking about. If you're talking about a black racer, yes, a black racer will eat a copperhead. Black racers will also eat other black racers. And but black rat snakes, which are really common, are not snake eaters, and a lot of people think that they are. King snakes can be black depending on where you live. Those will, of course, eat copperheads, but not just copperheads. They're eating other things too. And even if it's a king snake, whether it's a king snake, an eastern indigo snake, which are known snake eaters, coral snakes, which are snake eaters, none of these snakes are keeping other snakes away. So if you have a copperhead in your yard, you're like, oh yeah, if you have a king snake in your yard, like, yeah, I got this king snake in my yard, and so he keeps all the copperheads away. Well, that's not what they do. Copperheads don't keep king snakes don't keep copperheads away. They don't do that. I mean, this is like saying, birds eat earthworms. So if you have birds, they keep the earthworms away. No, they're opportunistic. If they find an earthworm, they'll eat it. King snakes are opportunistic. If they find a copperhead, well, they'll eat it. Or whatever animal they find they can fit in their mouth. Copperheads eat a lot of different animals, and copperheads just happen to be one of them. King snakes will also eat other snakes, other king snakes even. King snakes will eat themselves. Not yet, but when this stream is over, go on to YouTube, type in king snake eats itself, and you'll have video after video pop up of king snakes unsuccessfully trying to swallow themselves. So king snakes eat all kinds of stuff, not just venomous snakes. Let's go back to the chat here. Eric Roscoe, what is Eric Roscoe saying? Anyone that uses the word expert in a sentence, I automatically stop listening to. Yeah, I mean, he wasn't trying to be a smart aleck. He was trying to be respectful, calling me an expert, even though I do not consider myself an expert. And see, I agree with you. If someone starts calling them, like Eric, if someone starts saying, okay, I'm an expert on this, it's probably a good idea to stop listening to him. But he was trying to be respectful, calling me that. But I definitely did not consider myself an expert. So I agree with you. Elizabeth Weaver says, Jason, if people use pest control such as, I don't know, what is that? Advion, is that a poison for ants or roaches? Does that kill snakes and lizards who might eat the affected insect? So if they're using pesticides to kill insects, does that kill snakes that may eat the insect? The answer is yes. Now, the other thing is too, even if you're putting pesticides outside around your home, and even if there's a snake that doesn't ingest an insect that ate the pesticide and died, if the snake is exposed to that pesticide and somehow gets ingested somehow, I don't know how we do that, but it's possible. Even if it doesn't kill the snake, they can have neurological effects from it. You could have neurological effects that affects you the rest of your life. Look at people get cancer from that stuff. Remember the big lawsuit over some of that, the weed killer and stuff. So, weed killer, whether it's pesticides, weed killer, that stuff can affect you. It can affect snakes. So not just eating something that ate it, but inhaling the fumes from pesticides, inhaling the fumes of all these chemicals can have effects on you as well as snakes, for sure. Yeah. So next comment, let's see. This comment is from Richard Howe. Richard Howe 5583. Maybe you're right about chemicals not repelling snakes, because I really do not know about that. I do know that planting mint, citronella, lavender, and maybe some other varieties that I cannot think of, will repel insects. And some snakes. I have read this on several occasions, but I would like to know what you think. You've read this on several occasions. Well, I don't think this does anything. And it doesn't matter if you read it on the internet or if you read it in a book. I can pull down different snake books now and find contradictions in each one of them. So I have been on, the funny thing is I'll go on a snake call somewhere and remove a snake from somebody's yard or garden. And it's always funny because people will say, well, they don't like mint, these plants of mint or lavender. And I'll pull a snake that's sitting under one of these plants, chilling out, waiting on some prey. And the snakes don't seem to mind this stuff at all. I have heard planting like lemongrass will make mosquitoes not come around. I don't even believe that, because I've done that and I still got ate up by mosquitoes. So citronella, I've got citronella candles, and under my pergola where I sit, I'll light these citronella candles. And do they do something to mosquitoes? I've convinced myself that they do, kind of like snake repellent. Do they actually repel mosquitoes? I have no idea, but they kind of smell good. So I buy them, and probably don't even work. I don't know. All right, so this next comment is from David Baynard, 3466 David Baynard. Get yourself a pair of king snakes. They won't let any other snake be there. Actually, I think they eat them. So David Baynard, yes, king snakes do eat other snakes, but he says they won't let any other snake be there. This is not true, but it's a myth that many people believe. They think if you have a king snake there, and it will keep other snakes away. And of course, this is not true. So let's see here. Thank you guys for joining us in the chat. And so Candy's Critters replied to Elizabeth, yes, they would be affected by any pesticide or insecticide they ingest. And like I said, they don't even have to ingest it. If they inhale enough of these fumes, that can actually do enough to cause some neurological damage in a snake, for sure. Okay, our next comment, and most of these are about copperheads because I took these from 4 different copperhead videos. So this is from Michael Schneider. Michael Schneider says, I'm from Maine and no venomous snakes here at all. Does Maine not have any venomous snakes? I don't know about that. Are there timber rattlesnakes? Somebody look that up. Somebody go look it up for me real quick. Go Google, do venomous snakes live in Maine? I think they do. Maybe they don't. I've never been to Maine. And if I went to Maine, I probably wouldn't be going there to look for venomous snakes. I'd be going there for lobster or something else. But I've always wanted to go to Maine. But Michael Schneider says there is no venomous snakes here at all. I don't know. I don't know about that, Michael. I don't know if you know what you're talking about. Maybe you do. We're gonna see. Okay, here we go again. I'm a two pops. I'm a two pops. That's this person's name. And I'm a two pops is telling us to buy a mongoose. Where do you buy a mongoose? I'm a two pops. Where do you buy these things? Because I would like, how much is it? At least, how much it is. I'm not going to buy one, but just curious. And I would name him Ricky-Ticky-Tavi. And I would do a whole video about maybe a snake getting him or something. Yeah. All right. This next comment, Little Huey here. I heard, okay, here we go again. Same comment. We get so many of the same comments over and over because some of these myths are just so common. I heard that planting mint plants interferes with their sensory receptors. Is this true? I don't know if it interferes with it. Maybe they can smell it, but I don't think they smell it and are like, oh, I got to get out of here. There's mint plants right here. I've never seen that. So in the video, how to keep copperheads out of your yard, this comment is on there. It says, and this is by Gotcha Park. Gotcha Park says, dude, you didn't tell us how to change the habitat, or did I miss it? Gotcha Park, you missed it. You missed it. Go back and watch the video again. And not that comment, this next comment. Some people, I don't know, not some people, all people think that they are funny. I sometimes think I'm funny. Most of the people who think they're funny are not funny. And this is evident when you read YouTube videos because when you read YouTube comments or comments on social media, because people will try to put in a funny comment, and the funny comment is something that they've heard before. And it's usually something that I've heard the same joke 20 million times on 20 different videos. So let me see this. This is one of them. Jackman 6256 says, let me explain something about snakes to all of you who will listen. There are only 4 kinds of snakes to fear in all of creation. Here's a list of the 4 snakes to fear. Number 1, little ones. Number 2, big ones. Number 3, live ones. Number 4, dead ones. Unless you count rubber snakes, then there is also photos of snakes. Yeah, that's actually a really funny comment. The first time you hear it. But it's been around for a while. But let's see. Okay, so what y'all looked up? Y'all looked up snakes in Maine. So let's see. So Cheesy Cheetah says Maine sounds boring. I agree with you. They have nothing really. If the state ain't got nothing that can kill you, what's the point of going there? Okay, there's nothing there. I would like to go there and eat lobster. You know, this is how stupid I am. I like seafood. I like crab legs. I like lobster, and every time I go to Red Lobster, and I order lobster, I look at it and it's never red. I'm like, why is it not red? Why does it not look like the lobster on the bib they just gave me to put on so I don't get lobster juice on me? And finally one day I asked them this question. I said, oh, well, this is rock lobster. you ordered? I said, well, I never said the word rock lobster. I just ordered lobster. I said, well, the red-looking lobster, that's Maine lobster. I said, well, that's the one I want. I want the one that's red. They said, well, that was more expensive. I said, okay. So I tried it. If you've never tried it, Maine lobster is so much better than rock lobster. I found that out just a couple years ago. All right. So Naughty Brooke says, apparently there are no poisonous snakes in Maine. So maybe that Michael guy knows what he's talking about. Candy's Critter says, timbers are extirpated from Maine. They are still in southern New Hampshire, so they could conceivably come back in southern Maine. I wonder how close they are to the border, because sometimes, I don't know, maybe there's one there. Maybe there's just a couple of them there, just across the border. They go back and forth. Cheesy Cheetah says, I bet they are in a small pocket. Populations there in Maine, they just are not aware. I mean, that's possible. There could be, I mean, there's no way to know. When they say they're extirpated from Maine, there's no venomous snakes in Maine, but timber rattlesnakes used to live there. All that means is for a very long time, they haven't been able to find any timber rattlesnakes. Could there be one there? Very well could be, but just very, very hard to find. So, yeah, they're probably overrun with garter snakes up there. That is very true. All right, so let's get back to comments. So this one is from William Sporing. William Sporing says, talking about copperheads, I see them from time to time on my property in Kentucky. I leave them alone. They leave me alone. I see a lot of large rat snakes, though, and I think they might make a meal or two out of the coppers. Well, I know that's what you think, because that's what everybody thinks. That's what everybody thinks. And they are not. They are not. Rat snakes are not making meals out of copperheads. There was a video one time, a viral video of like a hiking trail, and you see this snake, this big, long, black snake, okay? And it's got a hold of a copperhead, and it's just like twisting and turning and flipping and flopping everywhere, and it's trying to maintain control of the snake. But what this big black snake does not do in the video, he does not wrap around and constrict the copperhead. He doesn't do that. He's just like rolling around. They're kind of wrestling around, but he doesn't wrap around and constrict and squeeze the copperhead. And people were calling that snake a rat snake in the video. I watched the video, and it was not a rat snake. It was a black racer. Now, if you look up black racer, the scientific name of a black racer is Coluber constrictor. So the scientific name of a black racer is Coluber constrictor. How would you say a black racer kills its prey? What do you think? Well, you might say it constricts it. The truth is they do not. Black racers are not constrictors, even though their scientific name is Coluber constrictor. And so in this viral video of this snake that's black in color killing a copperhead, it doesn't constrict it. It does what racers do. They grab it and they just overpower it until they get the animal's head in their mouth. They basically swallow it live and it suffocates it that way. But they don't wrap around and constrict it. And so people were calling it, oh, see, look, it's a rat snake. They do eat copperheads, but it wasn't a rat snake. But, you know, when you go in the comment section, sometimes you just can't reason with some people. All right, so this comment right here. Okay, tell me what you think about this comment. In most of these comments I'm reading, you guys, I have not replied to any of these things on YouTube. So maybe they'll come on here and watch it and hear their reply. So this is from somebody called One Compass. One Compass 7290. One Compass is a username. And this is their comment. Listen to this. Would have enjoyed some actual info about the danger from a bite or stats on human deaths from this bite. Maybe even some info about the snake's range or the type of venom, etc. Okay, so just let me recap here. This person is coming on here and is telling me, sarcastically, at least I'm reading it, they didn't enjoy it, but they would have enjoyed some actual information that told about the copperheads, the danger of a copperhead's bite, how many copperhead human deaths are there, the range of the copperhead, the type of venom it has, etc. If I did that, I'd have to, the name of the video is How to Keep Copperheads Out of Your Yard. If you click on a video and the title of the video says, here is a video about how to keep copperheads out of your yard, why in that video would I talk about the dangers of a bite? How many people die from it? How big of a range it's got? What type of venom they have? What does any of that stuff have to do with how to keep them out of your yard? I would just have to do a different video and change the title of it. Okay? So if you click on a video that tells you what it's about, and you're like, well, I clicked on this video, I thought it was about this, and it was about something completely different. Well, yeah, it told you what it's about. It wasn't even about what you're asking. So I don't even know how to answer that one. Good Lord. All right, so let's go to our next one. Here we go. Muskogee ducks. If you don't know what Muskogee ducks are, it's those ugly ducks with a red, flesh on their head, like a turkey's head almost. Which I've owned one of those. Are kind of cool ducks. I had 3 Muskogee ducks, and when I got them, I saw 1 or 2 snakes. But then after we had them for a while, we didn't see any snakes on the property. It wasn't because of the ducks, because I've been to plenty of people's houses that have ducks, and I actually had to remove it. I had to remove a rat snake one time out of a duck's nest that was eating all the duck's eggs. So ducks don't necessarily keep snakes away. So this one is from Anita Ace. My great-great-grandpa laid down in a bed and a copperhead was on his pillow, but he wasn't bitten by it. So great-grandpa, so is it possible this bed was on the floor? If the bed was on the floor, maybe I'll believe it was a copperhead on the pillow, okay? But the bed is a normal bed and it's up off the floor, I don't think it was a copperhead. I'm not calling anybody a liar. Maybe it was. Maybe it was a copperhead. But, all snakes can climb, okay? Rat snakes are really good at climbing structures because they're not round. They're shaped like a loaf of bread. They have corners on the bottom, so they're not round. But copperheads can climb too, but they're not good at climbing structures. They can climb shrubbery and plants that have, really close branches. But as far as structures, they're not very good at climbing that. So a copperhead climbing up onto a bed is possible, but very unlikely. And so what happened a lot of times, this being your great-grandpa, could be a long time ago, a lot of snakes that they would encounter, they would just assume that this snake was some type of a venomous snake. Another comment, here we go again. CBS Shenanigans says, I've heard that if you smell cucumbers, it means there's a copperhead nearby. Is that true? No, it's not true. We've already talked about that. Definitely not true. Eurodragon says, or you can move to some place that ain't got them. That's what I did. So he's talking about this is a video, how to keep copperheads out of your yard. So Eurodragon says you could just move to some place that ain't got them. That's what I did. My wife and the kids, they miss me, but I ain't got no copperheads. Now, see, this is a helpful comment, okay? So this person had a problem with copperheads, and he showed us how he solved it. He up and moved, and he doesn't have any copperheads. His wife and kids miss him because he left them with the snakes, but, at least he told us how he solved his problem. This is from, I don't even know, more ha. I don't even know what, that's her name. Here it is. Is that snake on drugs? This is referring to the copperhead on the snake hook in the video on my YouTube channel called How to Keep Copperheads Out of Your Yard. And they are asking, is that snake on drugs? He is awfully calm. What about using DE? I don't know what DE is. Sure, you have to apply it often, but it keeps snakes away. Anyway, they're basically asking why is a snake not just jumping off the hook and attacking you? Is it on drugs? No, we don't drug we don't drug our snakes. Is a wild copperhead? That's just how they act. Snakes are not trying to just attack everybody that they can. Okay, so this one is from Michael. And he says, black snakes will eat copperheads. No, black snakes will keep copperheads away. And it's also true about king snakes. Well, this is just one more myth that is persisting. Black snakes, king snakes, rat snakes don't keep snakes away. They don't do that. And this person says, Glenn Coe says, I find when you have dogs, snakes must be able to smell them because they stay away. Well, we know that's not true because so many dogs get bit by snakes. There's a video on my channel of me going to a house, 11 o'clock at night, removing a 5-foot timber rattlesnake out from under a doghouse. So, no, snakes don't just try to stay away from dogs because they smell dogs. I get calls all the time of snakes in dog kennels with dogs, and they're trying to get the dog out before they get bit by the venomous snake. This one's asking if anyone uses decoys. Can you put out, fake owls or life-size black snakes to repel copperheads? That's not really going to work very well. What about donkeys? I heard snakes hate donkeys, is what Tiana says. I don't think snakes even know what a donkey is, and that they wouldn't do anything. And then how come that snake's not? I mean, some of these comments. How is the snake not attacking you? I don't know. I mean, some of these comments just really show you how much people just don't know about snakes. They just don't know about snakes. Another good way, this is from Gene Gill, another good way to avoid copperheads and rattlesnakes, keep them out of your yard, is to move to Michigan. We don't have snakes. Well, in Michigan, I think you do have snakes. You do have a rattlesnake there, at least one, I think. But that comment is peppered all through this YouTube video, and people mentioning different. Oh, here's how you get rid of them: move to Wisconsin, move to Michigan, move to Seattle, Washington. I mean, there's tons of comments, the same exact comment, just different states in there. This is a good one here. Kurt Meyer says, "Put pennies around the yard. That's a sure way. Grandpa did it, and it worked. The county agent and the revenuer told Gramps about it. So the county agent and the tax revenuer came by and said, oh, you got copperheads? Put some pennies out around the yard. And sure enough, it worked. Actually, it did not work. Oh, Lord. I mean, how do you get people, how do they believe this stuff? I don't know. Anyway, there's some, these comments just kill me on here. This is, I have chicken snakes. Chicken snake, that's a rat snake. Some people call them chicken snakes. I have a rat snake in my backyard in my old shed. I don't kill them because they will kill copperheads. No, rat snakes, chicken snakes, of course, we said don't kill copperheads. And I'm getting tired of reading these because all these are the same thing. I mean, so many people, you think they would go and read these, you think they would go read other comments before they post, before they post a comment. I have big black snakes. Never seen any other snakes around. Well, the reason you see these big rat snakes crawling around is because they're pretty big and they don't have as many predators when they have predators, not as many when they get that big. And they don't rely as heavily on camouflage as copperheads and rattlesnakes do. So copperheads are trying their best to be hidden and never be seen. Rattlesnakes are crawling out in the open a lot of times. So that's why you're seeing more rat snakes and not nearly as many copperheads. And this one asks, this is a good question. Nick Poole says, what do I do if I want them in my yard? How do I attract snakes? Well, watch the video and then play it backwards, okay? And then just do the exact opposite of what I tell you to do in the video. Let your grass grow up. Feed the birds. Get plenty of bird seed so the mice and rats can get all the bird seed out there. I don't know how I'm supposed to make this person happy. Alyssa Luck says, so I'm personally terrified of snakes, and I came here to watch your video because my property has a lot of copperheads. I live beside a pond and have multiple shops with equipment and debris. I really wish y'all wouldn't have snakes in the how to get rid of snakes video. Just a hint. If we want to not have them, it's likely we don't like them. So I'm supposed to have a YouTube channel about snakes and not have snakes in the videos that's about snakes. If you don't want to see videos about snakes, don't go to SnakesAreUsTV on YouTube. It's probably not going to work out very well for you. So let's see, another comment. This is from Terry Adkins. Terry Adkins talking about copperheads. Let's see what he says. He said, I'm trying to keep them in my yard in case my ex-wife wants to visit. See, now this is a helpful comment. You know, this is, that makes sense. He wants to keep them in his yard in case his ex-wife wants to visit. Terry, that is just mean. Why would you do that? The 3 Keys says, I could only listen. I could not watch this video. I was sure it was about to bite your face. It was not close enough to bite my face. And snakes don't sit around wanting to just bite somebody. I've been bitten in the face before by non-venomous snakes because I did let them get too close. But I did not let the copperhead do that. Okay. And we're almost done here. But I got one more thing I want to read to you. Get that thing away from your face. Another comment on here. This is from Laurie Folk. Laurie Folk's on here a lot. She says, glad to see a video from Jason. A few more snakes survive. Thanks to Jason. Hurricane season is coming, and I hate it. I hate hurricane season too. Thank you for the compliment. I appreciate that. So one more real quick. This last comment is not about a copperhead. This is, let me find it right here. This is a comment that somebody posted about a snake in their bathroom, on the bathroom floor. They get up in the middle of the night. This woman gets up in the middle of the night. She goes to the bathroom, and on the floor is a snake in her bathroom. And so she takes a photo of the snake. She doesn't freak out, doesn't have a heart attack, doesn't die. She remains relatively calm, gets a photo of the snake, and she posts it on social media and says, what kind of snake is this? Well, you know, if you want to know what kind of snake it is, just go post it on a random social media page, you know, and people will tell you exactly what it is, and nobody will guess. Of course, that's not true. The snake she's referring to was a Decay's brown snake, commonly referred to as a brown snake. And they don't get, 15, 16 inches. They're harmless snakes. People often see them and think they're baby copperheads. And so I replied on there and just told her, that this is a brown snake. Here's how you prevent it from coming into your house. And I gave her a link to a YouTube video I did to help show her how to keep it out of her house. And got a lot of likes on the comment. But then you have people coming in here talking about how I said, this is a harmless, non-venomous snake. I refer to this brown snake as harmless and non-venomous. And people started coming on here. One person in particular was saying, the snake may not be venomous, but you should definitely not call it harmless because she says no snake is harmless because they can all bite. And there's risk for injury and serious infection. And so I replied to her, and I said, these snakes are definitely considered both non-venomous and harmless. Larger snakes that have enough bite force to cause severe physical injury that is medically significant would not be considered harmless. For instance, a reticulated python. A big one, they're not venomous, but they're big snakes. They have big teeth. If they bite you, and it's a severe bite, you could possibly be looking at stitches from one of those snakes. That's a bad bite. But just wanted to explain to her that fortunately a bite from a brown snake. Now, a brown snake in the United States is not the same as a brown snake in Australia. Two very different snakes. Brown snakes here in the U.S. and the southeastern U.S. are very small, harmless, non-venomous snakes. And I explained to her that fortunately a bite from one of these snakes is not dangerous even to children. since they are very unlikely, actually extremely unlikely, to even break the skin. If by some miracle the ultra small teeth of the snake did break the skin, the risk of infection is so minuscule that it's pretty much non-existent. So I agree. While some snakes should not be considered harmless, even though they're non-venomous, this isn't one that fits that category. So brown snakes here in the Southeast are in fact harmless, even to children. Infection from snake bite is like almost non-existent. Can it happen? Yeah, of course it can happen, but it's like 0.01% of bites get infected. It is an extremely rare thing. When I tell people all the time in our shows, if you're eating food and you get food stuck in your teeth, okay, that starts to grow bacteria. And so if you get bit by a person, you kind of have a pretty high risk of infection. But snakes' teeth don't trap particles of food like our teeth do. Even though some of these snakes eat rodents and animals that carry disease, they don't have the bacteria in their mouth that we do. So you would have more trouble from infection getting bit by a person, a dog or cat, than you would from any snake, even a venomous snake. Infection from snake bite is so rare, it's just not something that we really even worry about. Now, Annette, no snakes in my video. I don't have any snakes tonight in the podcast video, but maybe she should watch the podcast, okay? Sometimes I have snakes in here, but not tonight. Candice Critters, more paranoia. Yes, a decayed snake couldn't even break my 70-year-old thin skin. Candice, you're 70 years old? Okay. My 70-year-old thin skin. The reason any snake bites get infected was there some other contributing factor, like dirt, rust from something that you would have used to try to kill it, that kind of stuff. Yeah, I agree. If you get bit by a snake and it breaks the skin, now you have an open wound. And because you have an open wound, that can then get infected. But believe it or not, snakes actually have a very clean mouth. So we're just going to bring us to the end of it. Tonight's podcast, episode number 11 of the SnakesAreUsTV podcast. Next week is episode 12. And next week we're talking about something that I have no clue of yet. No clue of yet. But the last thing I want to leave you guys with, I've been talking to a lot of people, not about snakes, just about different things in their life, different family members, different friends. And the more people I've talked to over the last few weeks, the more people who have shared with me things that they are going through in their life. And I said this, I think in the last podcast last week, when you meet somebody and just talk to some random person, you never know what in the world this person has going on in their life. And that's why I think it's important to be careful when you're making comments on social media to people. You have no idea what your comment may or may not do, good or bad, for this person. Like I said, I have to be careful reading these comments that I don't get my self-worth from some of these wonderful comments that build me up and make me sound like I'm a herpetologist. I don't consider myself a herpetologist. But I don't want to get my self-worth from that, because if I do, it's very easy to get my self-worth from the bad comments. And a lot of people on social media will be conversing with somebody and they step outside of themselves. Most people don't talk to people in person the way they talk to people on social media. And I think some people need to be reminded of that. You need to be reminded that, whoever's typing on the other end of that keyboard that you can't see, that's a human being, and you have no idea what that person's going through. So just, especially if you're trying to get your point across, be nice. Just be nice to them. Give them the information. If they're going to be rude, that doesn't give you now the license to be rude back. Walk away from the conversation, and you can look back and know you did the right thing. You were not rude, even though they were. And I guarantee you, if you do that, you're going to look back and remember, yeah, you know what? At least I handled that right. Because people, a good quote that you should remember is this: sometimes when you're in a dark place, you think you've been buried, but you've actually been planted. Okay? Sometimes you're going to be put in positions to make a difference in people's lives. And these positions you're put in are usually bad positions. And when you're put in that bad position and instead of looking at yourself as that you're being buried by circumstances, you're being buried by problems, look at it as God has put you there for you to make a difference in somebody's life. So every single day of your life, try to live your life in such a way and hope and pray that God will send somebody into your life that day, every single day, that you can respond to them in such a way to leave them better than before they got to you, okay? So the last thing I want to tell you, Jesus loves you, and so do I. You guys have a wonderful night, and I will see you guys next time, episode 12 of the SnakesAreUsTV podcast. You guys have a great night. Thank you very much.